Thomas, welcome to Voices of Endpoint. Really excited to have you here. Thomas, why don't you tell me a little bit about your journey before you got to Endpoint?
Yeah, no, definitely. So originally, when I was a junior in college, I wanted to go kind of down the consulting route. And so my internship I had there was doing strategy consulting for insurance carriers at Aon. And I really liked the consulting aspect of the job. But after the internship, kind of thinking about what I wanted to do more long term, I realized I wanted to use my degree of industrial and systems engineering and then two minors that I also got of data science and probability and statistics at Lehigh. So kind of looked for more of a consulting opportunity that was a bit more technical, and I found an opportunity at Enside, so someone that we work very closely with and have a new strategic partnership with as of last week. And so started working there, and I really enjoyed working in the clinical trial space. I thought it was an incredibly rewarding area to be, but just kind of by happenstance, as I was working at Enside, I started kind of collaborating more with some of the people on the product side at Enside and realized that that's kind of the direction that I wanted to go to. So I started looking for a new opportunity there, and um, how I ended up at Endpoint was I had downloaded something on the website, just kind of like one of the white papers. Someone from sales reached out to me. They're like, "Hey, can I help you?" I was like, "Actually, yes, I'm looking for a job in product." Sent them my resume. About 2 days later, I had a call with Jeff as the first round interview, and then my old manager from Enside had actually just gone over to Moderna, working with a former endpointer, Brad, who's over at Moderna now. And so then, kind of through that, the rest was history. And I've been here for a little over 4.5 years working on various different products.
Wonderful. No, that's a fantastic journey, and hopefully found your calling in the clinical side. So great to have you there. As you come into Endpoint, it's been almost close to 5 years here. Tell me a little bit about your journey here. Where did you start? How did you get yourself familiarized with RTSM, and then how did you grow in your product role?
Yeah, definitely. So, luckily, since I was coming from NSAT, I did have a decent amount of RTSM knowledge, but it was more just kind of focused on the supply chain, some aspects of dispensation and visit schedule. And so, in the first year, the first product I had was analytics, our analytics product with Pulse. And so through that, I worked very close with Garin and his team and had a little bit of a trial by fire learning all about clinical trials, how an RTSM works, what all of our data is within there. So that was, I think, a really good foundational learning experience for me in my first year before I started focusing more on working on Elosity. So I was very fortunate to be there since about the start of Elosity. And then it's kind of been a bit full circle now in the past year where my focus has been shifting more towards our data and AI products with Elosity Insights, so kind of our product suite of data and AI products as well.
Wonderful. So as you're going down this journey from analytics to data and AI, what changes have you seen in this progression, just within the marketplace and within Endpoint?
Yeah, definitely. So I think like broadly speaking, one of the huge changes in the past few years obviously has been with large language models and the opportunities that those are now creating for us within the product space. Where when I first came in, we have capabilities like, okay, you can now interact with your data with natural language, where that was not something I would have imagined when I first came in working on analytics. That would have been like a pipe dream. I would have said like, oh, this would be the best thing we could ever do, but now it's actually feasible. So I think that's one of the really exciting things for me, where it opens up so many new opportunities. But at the same time, comparing Pulse to Elosity, when we were building Elosity, we were very intentional in everything we were doing for this future where we could have a suite of data and AI products built on top of it. And so as we were going through building out Elosity, there, I can't tell you how many conversations we had with, say, something like our visit schedule and dispensing when we're going through working with engineering leads about it, where we say, hey, we want to do forecasting for this one day, or we're having a technical conversation about how to implement something, and we were really intentional to make sure we thought about, okay, where do we want to be multiple years out? And now that we're getting in, starting to build out those products, it's simplified a lot of things for us, and I think opens up a lot of doors for us moving forward, where we've built Velocity to enable everything that we're now doing today.
And that's really insightful that we started with an architecture where data and AI was kind of part of that norm, and you said it's really exciting to see the start of the data and things going on. Tell me, what's a typical day in the life of Thomas? Is it all fun and exciting with LLMs, or what do you have to do? How does that flow?
Yeah, no. So it's I'd say my mileage varies a lot day to day, but it usually falls into a few buckets where I'll get on and then check my emails, kind of get the status of everything that happened in with my team in India while I was asleep, and then get on for stand up and really focus on my first few hours of the day of, okay, are there any blockers anyone's facing? Do we have any bugs that I need to look into and investigate, or just anyone that needs support in the first few hours of the day? Some of that could be hopping on a call with some people right after stand up to go through that, or I just know, okay, there's something I need to investigate throughout my day, figure out what our next steps are, or maybe get something scheduled for the next day. So that's kind of first bucket of the day. Then the second bucket is usually focused more on kind of stuff within the next 3 months. So that could be either independent work I'm doing, getting stuff ready for our next releases, or collaborating with other individuals across products. So maybe another product manager is working on a future feature in Elosity, and I'm going to hop on a call with them just to help brainstorm ideas or give my feedback on something. And then the latter half of my day is either continuing that focus on kind of stuff within, the next 1 to 3 months, or having out, taking time out to, look at stuff further out. So that could be just catching up on everything that's happened, usually in the past week with LLMs, of since how fast stuff is moving, kind of making sure I'm caught up there, or just working on, okay, what are we going to do a few months out within Elosity Insights?
That's fantastic. So let's say you're bringing in new players into your organization, into data and AI. What kind of skills do you look for, and how long does it take for somebody to be a well-valued member of your team?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think it part of it depends on kind of where the like what the role of a person is. So if someone's coming in as a, let's say, quality engineer, it's very, I'd say, critical for them to have at least some sort of knowledge of IRT and RTSM. It's not necessarily required, but it's just that initial few months is we'll need to spend a lot more time with them, of training them on kind of not only what Velocity is, but also the kind of core IRT concepts. And so that's something where like Endpoint Academy is very, very valuable, where we're able to leverage that a lot, get people a lot of that base knowledge. But then other aspects of it is just leveraging the training information and our user documentation that we've created within product to ensure that people have a really solid baseline understanding, and pairing them up with someone else on our testing team to kind of be their buddy for the first few months. Whereas for data engineering, they definitely need kind of that base level knowledge of IRT and Velocity, but it's also getting them onboarded and quickly working within everything we're building out in Databricks, so that they're able to kind of learn as they go through stuff. And I always try to give them a mix of, okay, here's some kind of quick win things for you to work on, something that's pretty easy, or hey, here's something that might be a little bit of a stretch for, in your first month or two, but here's another data engineer you can work with them on this so that you can really get up to speed as quick as possible.
Yeah. And Thomas, as you're starting to use a lot of, as you said, LLMs, and you're spending things on, how does that help you in this onboarding process? And then what are you seeing as things which can make even the process of doing what work you do, what work you do and your teams do to be accelerated and automated?
Yeah, so I think a really good example of this is something that I noticed with Umesh once we brought Umesh on board with an LLM that Databricks has called Genie. So when he was kind of starting to dig into our data and everything, instead of normally going down the route of learning the semantic model, understanding how to query everything, understand how all the data is related to it, what he did instead is use Genie and ask Genie those questions. So instead of having to spend multiple hours to understand the data before he could answer those questions, he was asking Genie those questions to get that and then kind of spot checking things in different ways as well. And so that's something that I've seen as a really critical way to like accelerate people's learning and getting comfortable with our data. And it's also something too that we're now starting to investigate for our operations teams too. So in the next release of Elosity, we have a data transfers capability that we're putting into the product, really focused on increasing quality there, centralizing everything into Elosity and automating some of those processes. But the next piece that we're investigating is, okay, instead of again having requiring whoever's creating those data transfers to really understand our data model, why can't we just embed Genie into the product so that someone can go from the data transfer spec document that we have and a prompt as well to create that initial data transfer, then they can go through all their testing and checks and make small minor adjustments there. So it really accelerates the amount of time that it takes someone not only to get onboarded, but shortens the amount of time for any data transfer to be created.
Now that's really exciting that you could actually use it to onboard. And that's where we're seeing a lot of people, not just even within our industry, but outside the industry, really learning through experiential training versus what we call classroom training. Because the more you experience, the more context there is. And I love that example with Umesh. Given your own personal journey, what are you seeing fun activities you're doing to automate your life and make life better for yourself using these tools?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I found incredibly beneficial is I have a lot of things just throughout my day where I'm, say, looking for like I need to do a quick Google search on something where like I understand what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a small little fact. And instead of Googling, having to go read through all of these different pages and finding that information, I've started changing how like what questions I ask to Google and more prompting it for Gemini to come up and give me that answer. And I found that's been something really critical for me of cutting down that amount of time for, okay, I have a question. I need to get a quick answer to it so that then I can continue on with whatever I'm doing.
That's fantastic. So, Thomas, what do you do outside of work? What's fun for Thomas?
Yeah. So I live in the Seattle area, and kind of few things I do. I like to spend a lot of time outside. So I play a lot of golf with my friends and family. And then also during the winter, though this winter wasn't really a good year for it, I try to get out and ski. I'm very fortunate where in Seattle there's some phenomenal ski resorts within about an hour and a half of where I live. So we'll try to get out to do that. And then during the summertime, I have a friend who has a place in the San Juan Islands, so some islands in the Puget Sound right by the Canadian border. So I'll go up there whenever I can with him, just spend time on the beach and fishing. And then my family, we also have a place in northern Idaho on the southern end of Lake Coeur d'Alene. So I'll always, whenever I can, get out there for a few weeks too.
That's fun that you're in a nature person and you have all these different opportunities to really explore and stuff like that. So that was just coming back to the endpoint stuff. As you start to, you've been in it for 4 or 5 years. So if you were to talk to somebody, what would you tell them whether they have to join endpoint or not? What would you tell them their journey or experience is?
Yeah, no, I'd say right now is a really exciting time to join Endpoint. Um, Really because of Elosity's finally reached maturity in the industry where we are supporting a ton of live studies, but we're also continuing to build and improve Velocity. So some of that's stuff in the core Velocity platform where we're expanding those capabilities. Some parts we're refining it, other pieces we're creating brand new capabilities so we can support more studies and more sponsors on Elosity, but we're also spending a lot of time of expanding like our data and AI products there. Where now we're kind of in this point where in our next release, um, we've had a big focus on ensuring that our data is very accessible to all of our users. So whether it's our external customers or our internal teams, and now we're starting to focus more on, okay, how can we increase the usability of that, whether it's through integrating AI into the product or updating the UI and creating new capabilities. Like we'll have something in reporting where you can create pivot tables and I have a lot more capabilities akin to Excel versus, having to download it out. You can just do it all in Velocity. And then we have a lot more stuff coming up in the roadmap too, kind of focusing on predicting out into the future and helping people, individuals and organizations improve their decision-making process. So there's a lot going on. We're moving really fast and it's just an incredible place to be right now.
Yeah, so very tech focused and a lot of good features to build, and somebody building their careers can really leverage all of the knowledge which we already have, but also the future product roadmaps we have to build. So a lot of
Yeah.
good experience to have. As you look at our culture and cultural values, what resonates the most with you?
Yeah, I think I would say we're, even though we are remote, we're an incredibly collaborative team, and that's something that I've really been surprised of and have enjoyed a ton. So, kind of going back to something I touched on before, like when we're going and building out something new in Elosity, it's not just, okay, hey, product managers are going to define something, tell designers exactly what it is, and then give the designs to engineering and say, hey guys, like this is what it is. Build it. No, it's a very collaborative process the entire time where I've had so many conversations where initially when we have an idea and we're just beginning the discovery on product, we don't really have a clear idea of what we're going to build. We bring in engineering into there so that they can be a part of that process. And that's something that's been so valuable where we're kind of high pie in the sky thinking of ideas, say something, and engineering is like, oh wait, this is what we could do. This is like kind of how we could approach this here. And it helps us move really fast and kind of don't fall into that trap of the waterfall development process where you have something, it's a really good idea, and then once you get to developing, it's like, "Oh, okay, this is going to take 5 times as long as it's going to take." No, it's very collaborative the entire way, and it's just a ton of fun to work here.
And Thomas, as you really look, it's wonderful that you see this collaborative culture. As you know, Endpoint has come a long way since you joined, and Jennifer and me are being here for over a year. Any feedback for us on what we should continue to do, what we should stop doing, what should be encouraged to be done?
Yeah, so I've really enjoyed all the town halls that we have. I find that's just a great way to kind of break up the monotony of your workday, get in, have an update, not only just broadly of the organization, but kind of focused on certain areas. So that's something I've really enjoyed and appreciated, and kind of my feedback on that to improve that would be is it'd be great if we could have. Um, either more frequency or change up what some of those are, where a specific town hall's focused on something. So whether it's focused on maybe what operations is doing or some of the work that Arvin's team's doing with AI within operations, or even spotlighting Elosity, whether it's a demo just to give everyone an understanding of like, hey, not only here's what we've done with Velocity, but here's the area that we're going into, I think would be a really good way just to bring everyone together and prevent us all kind of from getting siloed into only seeing a narrow piece of endpoint where we work, but seeing broadly where the entire organization is.
Very feedback. And as you look at the next couple of years is a long time, but next 12, 18 months, what do you see as kind of next steps, or where do you see your journey continuing on from a Thomas perspective?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely will continue as where I've been so far of continuing to build out our Elosity Insights platform. There's, as kind of I've touched on, there's a ton of stuff that we have upcoming, and we've gone through in about the past year and a half, a lot of, I'd say, like the grunt work of building out all of the infrastructure, getting us in a really good space where now we can finally start scaling and building things on top of that. So that's what I'm really excited about is, expanding what we're working on, refining the products that we already have and creating a lot of new capabilities for not only our customers, but we also have a big focus on how can we help our internal teams to, increase operational efficiency and reduce a lot of barriers that previously existed to accessing using data in people's day-to-day activities.
Yeah, no, this has been a fascinating conversation. I really appreciate your coming on Voices of Endpoint, and thank you for everything.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. It was great chatting with you today.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cut. Um, Sorry, Upali, I didn't know you were going to join, because usually people don't join at that time.
Yes, okay. I will get it removed.
Yeah. So typically we just record it and then I share it with the team. So that way you won't have 3 people coming up in the Voices of Endpoint. That's all.
Right. Actually, I'm new to this. After Zoe had done this before, so Ella asked me to join in the call.
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
I was not
That's why
aware.
I didn't want to disrupt Thomas's flow. He was having a wonderful session. So in the future you don't have to. You could just take the offline recording and then just edit it out. Basically, I do a count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's the start of the session, and then we end it with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can it'll be easy for people to quickly edit. So it shouldn't be a big problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I got it. I'll get because I will be doing the editing, so I will remove it. No problem. But
Yeah. Okay.
Thomas, it was great listening to you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem. Yeah.
Have a good
Appreciate
day.
it.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, Zoe was doing it, and then we're picking up the new series. So no big deal. I think we can just remove that part of it, and then we'll put that through that. Was it okay? Were you comfortable with the
Yeah,
questions?
yeah, no, it was really good. It was, I will say, I had a bit of an idea of what to expect. I've personally actually really enjoyed having them, and I'll have certain work here and there where I'm like, okay, I can listen to one of these as I'm doing it, and I found it really enjoyable to like listen to these and just hear more about people across the
Yeah,
organization
that's the
who I
whole
probably
idea.
wouldn't talk to at all.
Yeah, because we're a small team. I mean, even though we have 600 people, we're still a small team, and the goal is to get to know each other. I mean, it's not about talking to me, it's more showcasing what you're doing and your journey and how you think about it and where you're driving innovation. So the whole idea of all of this is just to encourage people and spotlight them and just talk about, because each of us are different. So it's good to understand where we came from, our journey, but our purpose is the same. We want to be in clinical and we want to impact patients' lives and bring, good product to market. So
No, 100%. And that's where I've found it really fascinating of Some people, just the incredible passion they have and purpose they have behind why they're here, where it's like, oh, wow, okay, that is really cool. I never thought of it that way. Or like, oh, okay, like that just fires you up a bit. So no, it's been awesome. I appreciate you doing this and also having me on board for it.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. And thanks for starting the new series. Okay. Take care.
Yeah,
Appreciate
take
it.
care. Yep. Bye, Shri.